The poll bugle right there in Karnataka. But moving on, here's good news for all. GST collection crosses the 1 lakh crore rupee mark for the first time since its launch back in July 2017. This, of course, for the month of April. The number has exceeded 1 lakh crore rupees. That, of course, is the big news at this point of time. In fact, the exact collection number is coming in at about 1,03,458 crore rupees. And do remember that this was something that was awaited for a very long time by a lot on the street, especially macroeconomists, because while since July, right up till March, the GST numbers have actually come in at about 80,000 or 85,000 crore rupees. It was coming in below expectations. It was coming in below what the street estimated. But we have with us Ruchi Bhatia right now joining us with a detailed wrap on this. Ruchi, over to you.
It's been a very promising start for FY19 as far as the GST collections go. In fact, this has shown a healthy trend, and the collections for the month of April have topped the 1 lakh crore mark. As far as the CGST that has been collected has been over 18,000 crore rupees. The SGST collected is over 25,000 crore rupees, and IGST over 50,000 crore rupees. This has been mainly possible on account of better compliance that we have seen. In fact, the number of taxpayers that have filed their GSTR 3B return forms has topped the 60 lakh mark, and this means almost 70% compliance that we are seeing with respect to GSTR 3B. Even composition dealers have come in line, and almost 60% compliance that we are seeing with respect to composition dealers as well, with almost 11.47 lakh composition dealers having filed their returns so far. What is interesting is the fact that this shows a very healthy tax buoyancy as far as the tax collections are concerned. It shows a very healthy trend which the government would want to emulate from here on. Also, this has been mainly possible not just because of the better compliance that we are seeing, but also several anti-tax evasion measures that the government has taken, mainly that of the rollout of the e-way bill. Also, remember, going forward from here on, it will be interesting to watch if the May 4th meeting takes up the issue of return simplification. We can see things becoming even better and tax filing becoming even better for the MSMEs, and that will be even a huge shot in the arm going forward as far as the GST collections are concerned in the future. But all in all, a very promising number for the month of April, GST collections having crossed the 1 lakh crore mark.
Ruchi, for that, well, ever since its implementation and its coming to force, we have seen GST collections on sort of a roller coaster ride. We kick-started very strongly, with good collections of 90,000. It dipped subsequently, but we have with us now Supriya Srinath. And Supriya, this certainly does come in as a big relief for all the macroeconomic watchers. We have all the pressure on the fisc, concerns in relation to that. This perhaps would assuage some of those concerns.
Oh, absolutely. And 1 lakh crore is always a magical mark to cross. We have none other than Vanaja, Sarna, the chairperson of CBIC, joining us right here on ET Now. Thanks very, very much, ma'am, for being with us. 1 lakh crore, I'm presuming, is a mark that you would have wanted to reach earlier. But is this a big sigh of relief? And what part of the GST taxpayers who registered under the regime are now actually paying taxes?
Well, thank you for having me on this show of yours. I just wanted to mention that, this, and you might have seen the press release as well. Of course, indeed, we have crossed the 1 lakh crore mark, which is always very heartening. But I have to also add what has been said in the release as well, that this is not something which is unexpected, because March is always a month year on year where you do see a larger amount of collection perhaps towards the end of the financial year, because a lot of businesses actually like to wrap up their financial year. A lot of pending amounts that have to be paid get settled. So it's not, I won't say it's something that we have to get overexcited about. But at the same time, yes, certainly it's very good to cross the 1 lakh crore. But I won't call this something which is a standard that we should be thinking it's going to be up and away from here. We need to look at things, happening, and we need to have a few more people filing, because we've still not got that many filers as they should be. And as you know, the composition dealers have also paid now the quarterly, and that is also included in this amount. The quarterly payment made by I think it's about 11 lakh composition dealers as well, though we are expecting about 17 or 18 lakh to file. And of course, on the other aspect, which you asked about the anti-evasion measures, most definitely, e-way bill is something we have been wanting, and we feel it will plug a lot of loopholes. So that is definitely on the way. Interstate having started on the 1st of April, interstate now with many states already on board. And of course, the other anti-evasion measures, which definitely the CBIC and the state officers are taking as far as enforcement measures are concerned. So we had kept that on hold in the initial months. As you know, I had gone on record saying for at least about 6 to 7 months we need to slow down because we want people to get adjusted to the new regime. But yes, definitely, we have been a little more vigorous in our efforts now, and I'm sure this aspect of both the e-way bill as well as the anti-evasion measures and enforcement measures that we're going to be taking will definitely help us to look at maybe a bigger tax collection as time goes by.
Ms. Sarna, right, fair point indeed, and you being obviously cautiously optimistic, you're telling people there that it's all right to get to that 1 lakh crore mark, but let's not get hugely excited about this, because this is reflective of the financial year closing figure. This is also reflective of the composition dealers who file taxes. I'm just trying to understand from here on, and you're right when you say that, you wanted some time, some water to pass under the bridge before enforcement measures came in full force. From now on, how sustainable do you believe this trend in tax collection is going to be, given we are perhaps now going to go away from yet another year closing to normal months? And B, what sort of enforcement measures will now be put in place?
Let me answer the first part of your question first. Like I said, and you rightly pointed out that we were on a high with 90,000 plus, and then we went on a dip. But if you see the dip from about 83, 84,000, it slowly crept up to 88 and 89,000. So the trend is obviously very clear that it's settling down, and you're getting more SSEs, paying their taxes and filing their returns. So I definitely, as I said, this is an end of the financial year kind of situation. But I still do believe that there will be tax buoyancy, and come April, we should definitely be looking up at 90,000 plus or something and moving on. Then on the second part, enforcement measures, yes, we've started them already, and they will be in full swing. I mean, we have in the CBIC, we have a DG GST intelligence that has over the months been collecting information and intelligence, and will be acting upon that as time goes on. So that's the trend that we're going to see, and I'm hoping that all this will lead to tax buoyancy.
No, absolutely. And I think we at ET Now absolutely support the measure, which includes many more people who ought to pay taxes But very quickly, as far as the taxpayers, under 3B are concerned, the compliance is 69.5%. Composition dealers, the compliance is 59.4%. Are those numbers worrying? Are those numbers frustrating? And what sort of measures will you take for these numbers to at least get into the late 80s and early 90s? The compliance figures.
These are numbers that we've been looking at over time. This is where the field officers are looking at trends that have come about with regard to SSEs, pre-GST and post-GST. So this matter is already under examination at the field level as to why people who filed pre-GST are not filing post-GST, why people have taken registration and are not filing. These are issues that it's an ongoing process. It's being done at the field level, so definitely we would be able to do some analysis on what exactly are these trends and why. I won't be able to give you exactly the figures now, but definitely we hope to up it. And then there is a possibility that there would be people who actually have, migrated but who are not operating anymore, or people who have taken the registration, they're not doing business. Many people, I'm told, do take registration for certain other purposes. It makes it easy to have a GST number and all that. But I can't really say, but like I said, we're already on to it, and we would be looking at what is causing these trends. So let's see. I mean, time will tell, because we are examining it, and the gap between those who should file and who have as yet to file is being examined at the field level.
I just have to ask you one quick question before I let you go, ma'am, and that question has to be on the e-way bill. It was supposed to be this big revenue guzzler. It was supposed to plug leakages in the system. How has the experience been with that?
This is only exactly a month since we've done this so far. As I said, this is a month where you can't gauge it because it's end of the financial year. So I think we need to let the e-way bill system run a little more. give it a month or two, and then you won't have the effect of the end of the financial year. You will have anti-evasion measures, you will have the e-wasting measures, and maybe one would be able to take stock and, give you a better analysis of how good this has been as far as revenue leakage and blockage is concerned.
And at the end of the financial year, what sort of cess are you really accounting for in terms of cess collection at the end of this entire financial year?
Well, the cess that has been collected, of course, it will be accounted for. It's there, and I think it's there in the press release as well, the total amount of cess collected, etc. That's all available already in public domain.
Indeed. On that note, thanks very much for speaking to us. That's Ms. Vanaja Sarna, the CBIC chairperson, the person who really oversees GST, its implementation and the revenue collection from there. It's good news. We've broken through the 1 lakh crore figure, always an important milestone. Cess collection at levels of 8,500 crore rupees. Remember the e-way bill, and there were other systems that were put in place to plug leakages. And like the chairperson pointed out herself, now that the GST has seen some amount of smooth sailing and we've reached a figure of 1 lakh crore rupees, from here on, enforcement is going to get stricter. Anti-tax evasion measures will be put into place, and everybody who's evading taxes, and there are plenty of those who are, because if you actually look at individual taxpayers, the compliance rate is just under 70%, under 60% for composition dealers. So there's plenty of room, plenty of space as far as evasion of tax and plugging that loophole is concerned, but the government will be out in full force ensuring that enforcement measures get into place. On that note, we'll take a quick breather. We come back with plenty more of news, analysis and views right here on ET Now.